a woman walked into the hotel she built from nothing, only to be thrown out minutes later. What happened inside that golden lobby would leave the entire staff speechless. But before we begin this true tale of power, pride, and redemption, tell us your city or country in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. If you believe respect should never depend on appearance, stay until the end. Because what she did next changed everything. Vanessa Reed stepped through the revolving glass doors of her newest luxury hotel in Atlanta, a property she had dreamed, designed, and built from the ground up. Dressed in comfortable jeans and a black blazer after a long flight, she looked more like a traveler than a CEO. The marble floors gleamed beneath crystal chandeliers, and the scent of fresh lilies filled the air. Guests laughed over champagne in the lounge, unaware that the woman strolling past them was the reason this beauty existed. Vanessa smiled faintly, remembering the years of struggle and sacrifice it took to build this empire. She wanted to see things as they really were, how her employees treated everyday guests when no executives were watching. But as she approached the front desk, the warmth she expected was replaced by something else. Distant stares, whispered glances, and an unsettling chill in the air. "Excuse me," Vanessa said softly, offering a polite smile. "Could someone help me with a maintenance issue I noticed outside?" The front desk agent, a young man in a crisp navy suit, looked her up and down. "Are you a guest here?" he asked coolly. "Not exactly," she replied, still calm. "But—" Before she could finish, another clerk leaned over and whispered, "She's probably lost." Vanessa's smile faded slightly. "I'd like to speak with your manager, please." The agent crossed his arms. "Managers don't take random requests from the public, ma'am. This area is for guests only." Her voice stayed steady. "I'm not a random visitor. I have business here." He rolled his eyes. "I'm sure you do." A couple nearby chuckled quietly, mistaking the scene for some trivial misunderstanding. But Vanessa felt the shift, judgment heavy in the air, courtesy stripped away. She realized then that respect here was reserved for faces that fit their image of wealth. Moments later, one of the clerks picked up the phone. "Security, please." Vanessa's heart didn't race. She'd seen worse battles, but disbelief flickered in her eyes. The guard approached swiftly, posture stiff, tone firm. "Ma'am, if you're not a registered guest, we'll have to ask you to step outside." "I'm just trying to—" "Outside, please." All around, whispers grew louder. A man at the bar pulled out his phone, recording. Another laughed under his breath. Vanessa stood motionless, jaw tight, as the guard lightly touched her arm, guiding her toward the door. To them, she was just another woman who didn't belong. Too young, too casual, too black to be powerful. Outside, the glass doors closed behind her with a quiet hiss, sealing their judgment inside. The humiliation wasn't in the act itself, it was in the assumption. They didn't even ask her name. For a long moment, Vanessa stood beneath the grand sign that bore her own last name, Reed Grand Hotel. The irony stung. Her reflection in the window looked calm, but inside she was torn. One part of her wanted to storm back in, to expose them instantly. The other whispered patience. She breathed deeply, letting the cool air clear the heat of embarrassment. Power, she reminded herself, isn't proven by shouting. It's revealed through control. So she reached into her bag, straightened her posture, and let a slow, deliberate smile curve across her lips. This wasn't over. Not even close. Vanessa unlocked her phone and sent a short message to her executive assistant. "Activate Protocol 7. That was all it took. Within minutes, the wheels of authority began to turn. Her assistant alerted the regional director and the company's internal operations team. Every security camera feed was flagged for review. Inside the hotel, confusion spread like wildfire. The receptionist who'd mocked her noticed the sudden calls from upper management but had no idea why. The general manager's phone buzzed with an urgent directive. Return immediately. Meanwhile, Vanessa waited just outside, calm as ever, watching luxury cars glide past. To onlookers, she was simply a woman checking her messages. To the staff inside, a storm was quietly forming, and they didn't even know they'd caused it. Back in the lobby, tension mounted. The regional director rushed in, breathless, demanding to see security footage. The front desk team exchanged nervous glances, still unaware of what was unfolding. "Who did she say she was?" someone whispered. "Nobody important," replied another, uncertain now. But as the minutes passed, whispers turned to panic. The general manager burst through the doors, his expression dark. "Where is she?" he barked. No one answered. Then his phone buzzed again, with a message that turned his face white. It contained one line: "Vanessa Reed, founder and CEO, currently standing outside your hotel." Every eye in the room widened. The same woman they'd dismissed had just become the most powerful person in their world. Within the hour, an emergency all-staff meeting was called. Managers rushed from offices, concierges left their posts, and housekeepers hurriedly wiped their hands before entering the grand ballroom. Confusion filled the air like static. Rumors swirled. A mystery guest had complained, corporate was involved, someone might be fired. The general manager stood at the front, adjusting his tie, sweat forming at his temples. He cleared his throat but said nothing. Every employee turned as the door creaked open. The soft click of heels echoed through the room. A woman stepped inside, calm, poised, unreadable. Gasps rippled quietly. No one recognized her at first, not in her new power stance and composed expression. But when the regional director followed behind and greeted her with respect, the truth began to dawn. The guest wasn't just anyone. She was someone who mattered. Vanessa walked to the front of the room. Silence fell so heavy it could have shattered glass. "Earlier today," she began, voice steady, "I was escorted out of this hotel." A murmur ran through the crowd, heads turning, eyes darting. Not because I broke rules, not because I caused a scene, but because of what I looked like. She paused, scanning the faces that had once dismissed her. "Allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Vanessa Reed, founder and CEO of Reed Luxury Group. The woman you threw out owns this building." Shock flooded the room. The front desk agent's face drained of color. Someone dropped a pen. The sound was deafening. Vanessa continued, calm but firm. "This brand was built on excellence and respect. If you can't see both in every guest, you don't belong here." Her words weren't shouted. They struck deeper, quiet and final. The room remained still, bound by collective shame. By the next morning, disciplinary notices were issued. The front desk agent and security staff involved were suspended pending investigation. Some resigned before decisions were made. The general manager submitted an apology letter and offered to step down. Vanessa didn't act out of revenge, she acted out of principle. She ordered a full leadership review, introduced strict inclusivity standards, and launched mandatory bias and hospitality training across all departments. No longer would assumptions dictate professionalism. Every manager was required to report diversity improvements quarterly. Vanessa's statement to the board was clear. "We're not just selling luxury, we're defining integrity." The brand's new mission wasn't about damage control. It was about rebuilding from within. Weeks later, Vanessa visited the same hotel again, this time welcomed with warmth and open smiles. Staff diversity had already begun to shift. Posters promoting respect in every interaction hung near employee entrances. She also established a mentorship program for young Black women pursuing hospitality leadership. Yet, as she walked the hallways she'd designed, she felt a pang of sadness. Success hadn't shielded her from prejudice. It had only exposed how deep it ran. In an interview later, she said, "I thought building this brand would earn respect automatically. Turns out respect still needs to be taught." Her reflection wasn't bitter, just honest. A reminder that even power has limits when ignorance goes unchallenged. When the story broke online, it spread like wildfire. Headlines praised Vanessa for her grace under pressure. Video clips of her speech during the staff meeting circulated across social media, racking up millions of views. People admired her restraint, her intelligence, her refusal to lash out. Influencers and journalists called her the face of modern leadership. The hotel's reputation, once bruised, rebounded even stronger. Across the luxury industry, quiet conversations began about bias, assumptions, and how easily respect is misdirected. What began as a moment of humiliation had transformed into a movement toward awareness. Vanessa's story became more than corporate news. It became a mirror. If this could happen to a woman who built the very walls she was dismissed from, how many others face the same silence daily? Her journey was proof that true strength lies not in anger, but in grace backed by action. Remember her lesson, dignity is not negotiable. And now we'd love to hear from you. Which city or country are you watching from? Let's keep this message alive, because respect should never depend on appearance.